It is March 19th, 2026. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's time for your daily Torment reports, your news updates, and addressing the House of Israel. So in the news today, the 2026 Iran war is now in its 20th day. It has escalated sharply with major strikes on energy infrastructure, driving global oil and gas prices through the roof. Israel bombed Iran's side of the South Pars gas field, the world's largest natural gas reserve, which is shared with Qatar, causing fires and significant damage. This marked a big new phase in the U.S.-Israeli campaign against Iran, which has already neutralized much of Iran's navy. Over 120 ships. Yeesh. 20 days, 120 ships. They're moving. They flattened their air defenses and hit more than 7,000 targets overall. Iran hit back pretty hard overnight, launching missiles and drone attacks on key energy sites in the Gulf. Qatar's massive Ras Laffan LNG terminal, which is a huge chunk of global liquefied natural gas supply. Oil refineries in Kuwait sparking large fires. These tit-for-tat strikes on critical energy facilities have sparked fears of broader supply disruptions, including potential chokes on the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices have surged dramatically on Brent crude, which is climbing past $110 to $118 per barrel in recent trading, with WTI around $97 to $100 amid volatility. U.S. gasoline prices are at their highest since 2023 and still rising, potentially adding hundreds of dollars to household fuel costs this year. Global markets are rattled, with economists warning of inflation risks and energy crisis spillover. President Trump responded pretty forcefully. He publicly ordered Israel to halt further attacks on South Pars, stating no more strikes unless Iran targets Qatar again. In a strong social media post, he warned that if Iran hits Qatari facilities, the U.S. would massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field with unprecedented force. Though he added he doesn't want to escalate to that level due to long-term implications for Iran. Trump also met with Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaishi to discuss the crisis, honored 6 fallen U.S. airmen in a ceremony, and joined briefings where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chair General Dan Kane highlighted military gains against the IRGC. During that meeting with Sanae Takaishi, Trump, it's hard to tell if it was a gaffe or how it came across. He had made a comment about when opened up comments to the Japanese news who were standing by. They asked why Japan wasn't informed of the attacks before going into the war, and Trump made a comment which was a little off color, where he said, a little something about surprises. Don't quote me on that. But you could tell by the look on Sanae Takaishi's face that she was not impressed by that comment. Moving on the ground in Israel, Iranian barrages continue. Recent casualties include 4 Palestinian women killed and others wounded by a missile near Hebron. An elderly couple in Ramat Gan from a cluster bomb, and a migrant worker from shrapnel. Overnight and morning attacks persisted. This war is reshaping energy markets fast, with some analysts even floating end of petrodollar scenarios if disruptions worsen. That's the war. So let's switch gears over to NVIDIA. They're currently doing their GTC convention, their GTC 2026 convention, with CEO Jensen Huang's keynote spotlighting huge leaps in agentic AI, physical AI, and AI factories, and inference breakthroughs. They launched the open source Nemo Claw, which is an enterprise secure wrapper around OpenClaw. It's a platform for AI agents, which has gone massively viral. It's called one of the fastest adopted open source projects ever, inspiring devs worldwide, even in China. The thing that makes it so great is it seems to have a life of its own, to where you can give it instruction and it will go off and complete the task to the best of its ability, which in that capability also brings with it controversy and problems, because sometimes it doesn't do things the way it should, and also people are taking advantage of its willingness to do things, to where the extension repo for OpenClaw, an investigation was done on some of the projects, and they found that over 40% of the skills that were available for OpenClaw contained malware. NVIDIA aims to solve this problem by including a secure environment for the agent to run in, and everything goes through a router which verifies whether the agent is working within its bounds, or if it's gone off the rails. It's a very exciting adventure. Solving one of the big problems with OpenClaw. Moving on, Huang projected massive revenue up to $1 trillion in cumulative orders for Blackwell and upcoming Rubin GPUs through 2027. Demand is exploding despite trade tensions, with renewed China sales of the H200 chips. Broader AI shifts include job impacts. Major banks like HSBC are eyeing deep AI-driven cuts in back offices, and smaller, efficient models from OpenAI like GPT 5.4 Mini, Google Workspace upgrades for Gemini, and Anthropic's Claude enhancement for workflows. So, pretty wild mix of geopolitical tensions and tech acceleration right now. Oil prices are the big immediate story affecting everyone at the pump, while AI breakthroughs could reshape economies long term. So, very prophetic, right? You know, we've been looking at this as though it is the seal number 5, the Great Tribulation. Whether that seal is actually opened or whether it opens on August 12th remains to be revealed. However, you can see where the pressure is starting to build. It's very reminiscent of COVID. It's almost like a COVID 2.0. And we all know how that went. Make sure you got toilet paper and dog food. All right, moving on to our daily Torment report. Oh, I lost my video. I guess we'll just skip that then. Sometimes it doesn't load those videos. Here we go. All right, Donald Trump. You know, it's funny. I tested that before the show. Is it that way with all of them? No, that one worked. Oh, wait. Oh, it worked. It's just this one. Weird. Anyway, all right, let's move on to Donald Trump and let's see what he has posted. He's been pretty busy today, so it'll be interesting to see if he's actually made it to post anything yet. Let's see. They threw everything they had at Donald Trump. He's still standing. Indeed. So just a bunch of articles. Here we go. What do we got here? I think this is probably AI. MIRC at SCDU. I have no idea what this is. It looks like colorized black and white. Maybe this is... I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I turn off the audio because unless it's worth the trouble, every time there's any kind of music at all whatsoever, Google automatically copyright. It doesn't do a strike, but it does a warning. And I have to go through and jump through a bunch of hoops of why we're allowed to use what we use in the video. So if I can avoid doing that, that's why I turn off the audio, if you're wondering. I have no idea what this is. It would be nice to have some context. Fury says the internet's been quite squirrely today, and Grok even lost the ability to retain history. I wonder how the cyber attacks are. Threats. Where is the cyber attacks? Intelligence, maybe? Could be under there. Sometimes power outages can do it. Oh, you know what? We've been getting hit with coronal mass ejections. Let's see. Where's my space weather? Here's severe weather. Space weather. Let's turn that one on. What else would affect internet? Cyber threats. We can look at those. GPS jamming, maybe. I've been working on this intelligence platform for just such an occasion, to be able to see what's going on around the world. Border encounters, communication. That's about it. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, there's some power outages. Oh, you know what I should add? I should add all the data centers on here, because these look like they're in the centers of data centers. Like, doesn't that look strategic? That's GPS jamming. Like right there, that looks like a data center. Customers out, 0. 0. It says 0 customers are out. I wonder if there aren't like attacks on infrastructure. Like this could be Google, right? Amazon, they've got them all over the place. They've got them up here. They've got them down here. They've got them here in the center. But other than that, here, let's just do last 6 hours, 24 hours. No, just power outages. Anywho, usually grok glitches are only temporary. Fury says that looks like a colorized 1920 or 30s video, but those hats made a comeback in the late 40s, early 50s. Do you think it's AI, or do you think that's a legit video? It's hard to tell. It's getting very hard to tell. Let's see. Passing the Save America Act is indispensable. All right, what do we got here? Michael Whatley is so great, running against a really bad former governor who set murderers free to kill again and was grossly incompetent on the big hurricane cleanup. I had to get it done when I took office on January 20th, and I did. I hope the great people of North Carolina remember how bad Roy Cooper was as governor, especially on crime. Michael Whatley will be fantastic senator. He led the Republican Party to victory in 2024. Michael will be a great senator, one of the very best. Is this all he's did, was posting articles today? I think he does this on days that he's too busy to actually post himself. Which I've been watching stuff. I mean, it's not like he hasn't been in the front and center. I've been watching stuff all day from him, like the meeting with the Japan Prime Minister. This is a photo from yesterday on the drive from L.A. to Palm Springs. Hundreds and hundreds of these pieces of junk windmills. No surprise to the president, but only 10% of them working as we drove past. Eagle and bird killers, which suck the taxpayers dry. My best to the president. So somebody posted this for him. Yeah. Donald Trump really hates windmills. I don't know. I think there's kind of a place for him. Maybe not at this scale. But, you know, the wind is a source of energy. Why not? John McNaughton working on the Forgotten Man in Eisenhower office, executive office building. Huh. Nice. Those are nice shoes. Gold. Rare Trump sneakers listed for $180,000 at SneakerCon. Who made them? Okay, weird. Let's see. Iran is Israel out of. Okay, here. This is something that's worth reading. Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. A relatively small section of the whole has been hit. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, Iran did not know this or any of the pertinent facts pertaining to the South Pars attack, and unjustifiably and unfairly attacked a portion of Qatar's LNG gas facility. No more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar, in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field at an amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. I do not want to authorize this level of violence and destruction because of the long-term implications that it will have on the future of Iran, but if Qatar's LNG is again attacked, I will not hesitate to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Let's see. There you go. Free Tina Peters. He posts this from time to time. Free Tina Peters, a 73-year-old woman with cancer, given a 9-year death sentence in a Colorado prison by a Democrat governor, and Jared Polis, and a corrupt political machine for exposing fraud by the Democrats during the 2020 presidential election. Again, free Tina. It's so awesome for him to remember this and post this from time to time. I mean, he does this every 2 weeks, to where he posts free Tina Peters. Surely the president of the United States of America could do something to get this woman out of prison. It boggles my mind that he can't. I don't know. What's this? I think we watched this yesterday. Yeah, we did. Yep, we did. We were laughing at this, I think.
Just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0%.
Yeah, we watched that yesterday. Yeah, 100% Benjamin Netanyahu is alive. He did a conference today. Let's see, where is it? Here you go.
Will be speaking in English.
Welcome to the Foreign Press. First of all, I just want to say I'm alive and you're all witnesses. And now that I dispatched this piece of fake news, I want to give you an update on Operation Roaring Lion. Under President Trump's visionary leadership, America and Israel are acting together in Iran with great determination and unprecedented strength. Operation Rising Lion is designed to remove the existential threats posed by the Ayatollah regime, the regime that has waged war against America and Israel and the people of Iran for 47 years. It chants death to America, death to Israel, and it delivers death to its own people. Our goals are three. One, removing the nuclear threat. Second, removing the ballistic missile threat, and removing both of these threats before they're buried deep underground and become immune from aerial attack. And third, this means creating the conditions for the Iranian people to grasp their freedom, to control their destiny. Today, the Ayatollah regime is not only attacking America, not only attacking Israel, not only attacking the Iranian people, it is attacking the entire Middle East and beyond. They've attacked civilians and American assets in Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, and they've even attacked through their proxies Cyprus and Europe. We've warned for decades that their ballistic missile program would be used to attack these targets far and wide, and if they're not stopped, that's just the beginning. The death cult in Iran is trying to blackmail the world by closing a key international maritime route, the Straits of Hormuz. It won't work. Israel is helping in its own way, and intel and other means, the American effort to open the Straits of Hormuz, rather. But I want to ask you to imagine how the Ayatollah regime would be able to blackmail the entire world if they had ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. Just imagine what they would do. Look at what they're doing now and imagine what they would do if they had ballistic missiles, international range ballistic missiles, and nuclear-tipped warheads. Just imagine what a great threat that would be. So today, Israel and the United States are protecting America, Israel, the entire Middle East, but I venture to say the entire world. Despite the fake news that is unfortunately being spread since the start of the war 20 days ago, we are winning and Iran is being decimated. Iran's missile and drone arsenal is being massively degraded and will be destroyed. Hundreds of their launchers have been destroyed, their stockpiles of missiles are being hit hard, and so are the industries that produce them. That's important. In Rising Line, we destroyed missiles and we destroyed a lot of the nuclear infrastructure. But what we're destroying now are the factories that produce the components to make these missiles and to make the nuclear weapons that they're trying to produce. We're wiping out their industrial base in a way that we didn't do before. Iran's air defenses have been rendered useless. Their navy is lying at the bottom of the sea. Today we hit the other part of their navy in the Caspian Sea. Their air force is nearly destroyed. Iran's command and control structure is in utter chaos. And I can tell you that there's still more work to do, and we're going to do it. And I want to close these opening remarks with one other fake news, and that is that Israel somehow dragged the U.S. into a conflict with Iran.
Whatever.
Does anyone really think
Nope.
that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on. President Trump always makes his decisions
That's pretty good.
on what he thinks is good for America, and may I add, I think what is also good for future generations.
Yeah.
In this case, those interests are absolutely clear,
Yeah.
and so is the clarity of our achievements. Together in close coordination with President Trump, the close coordination between America and Israel, our militaries, our intelligence services, we're achieving goals in lightning speed. But I want to say another word. It's been said that for 40 years, I've been saying that Iran is a danger to Israel and a danger to the world. That is true.
Yeah.
You know who else said that? President Trump.
Yep.
47 years ago,
Can
when
confirm.
the Iranian thugs took over the American embassy, he said how dangerous this regime is. In his first term in office, he didn't need any convincing. He said the Iranian nuclear deal was the worst deal that he'd ever seen, and he walked out of it. Right before his second term, before he was reelected, I went to see him in Mar-a-Lago. The first thing he said to me was, "Bibi, we've got to make sure that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons." He said that to me. I didn't say it to him. He didn't need any convincing there either. Now, why did he say that? Because for more than 4 decades, this regime, as I said in the beginning of my remarks, is chanting death to Israel, death to America.
Yeah.
But they say Israel is only the small Satan standing in their way. The great Satan is the United States of America. And these ideological fanatics, these lunatics, define their raison d'etre, their reason for being, as wiping out Western civilization and America that leads it. They have claimed the lives, they've maimed and wounded thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan. They killed the American Marines in Beirut. They bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate the American president, Donald Trump, not once, but twice. Now they blackmail for oil.
Yeah.
Just imagine what they would do, what they're capable of doing, if these lunatics had nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city and every European city and everywhere around the globe. This is a danger for the entire world. It's certainly a danger for Israel. It's certainly a danger for America. We see eye to eye on that. President Trump and I, Israel and America. But I think if people are honest, if leaders are honest, they would understand that we're not only fighting our fight, we're fighting their fight. I speak to dozens of world leaders. Dozens. They all know that. And privately, they all say that. They say that privately, but I say it publicly. The world owes a debt of deep indebtedness to President Trump for leading this effort to safeguard our future.
Thank
Questions?
you.
Yep. Well, there you go. He's definitely alive. And yeah, I don't think the United States dragged Israel or Israel dragged the United States into this. This is clearly God moving. Anybody who can see with their spiritual eyes can see that that's what's happening here, considering that prophecy is being fulfilled. And we know that these things must come to pass. And we know that the end time involves wars and battles. And in fact, a lot of what we're actually going to review tonight after the Torment report is exactly what elements are moving into position right now, leading up towards those bigger battles. So let's move on to Elon Musk here. And I forgot to go back to Elon. Yeah. Elon Musk. We'll just do posts. All right. Major update to the XAI recommendation algorithm rolling out next week. This will be open sourced at the same time. Very cool. Grok Imagine stuff. We're just going to skip that today. What do we got here? From Curtis Yarvin in response to the AF posts.
What does a Project 2029 agenda look like for you?
I don't think you can speak of it in shorthand, but I'll just say a couple of things that I think are absolutely necessary. One is we've got to restore the rule of law, and that means holding people accountable who've broken the law. I'm talking about in this administration, when we get a new one, the people in this administration who've broken the law and federal agents who've broken the law need to be held accountable.
And that means criminally prosecuted.
Criminally prosecuted, civilly prosecuted, whatever it is that we can do, right? It may be that you can't criminally prosecute somebody, but that you can go after them civilly.
What does a Project 2029 agenda look like for you?
I don't think you can speak of it in shorthand, but I'll just say a couple of things that I think are absolutely necessary. One is we've got to restore the rule of law, and that means holding people accountable who've broken the law. I'm talking about in this administration, when we get a new one, the people in this administration who've broken the law and federal agents who've broken the law need to be held accountable.
And that means criminally prosecuted.
Criminally prosecuted, civilly prosecuted, whatever it is that we can do, right? It may be that you can't criminally prosecute somebody, but that you can go after them civilly.
Lawfare. That's their primary game. So this is from AF Post. Democrat Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker speaks about a Democrat Project 2029 in which members of the current Trump administration, along with federal agents, will be criminally and civilly prosecuted. Whatever it is that we can do, it may be that you cannot criminally, whatever. Curtis says, he who makes half a revolution digs his own grave. Yeah, they tried this before. That's why they called Donald Trump Teflon Don, is because they tried the warfare, the lawfare aspect, and nothing stuck. Rightfully so. He wasn't breaking the law. So this grandstanding and this making this up that these people are breaking the law when in fact they're doing quite the opposite. Are these guys just blind or stupid? Because from everything that I've seen, and I could be wrong. I mean, I could just, I could be being fed what I want to see. But from my perspective, it seems that they're actually enforcing the law, which apparently Democrats think are breaking the law. So whatever. We saw that show. We're tired of the reruns. Let's move on. Let's see. Tech dev notes. Just notice XAI has potential. Oh, I love Jensen. What's he got to say?
Obviously, there's a lot of energy in space.
Oh, yeah. So let me give you an update on what's gone on at this conference so far. So Jensen is under the impression that any company that doesn't implement an agentic strategy in its company will fail. In other words, these bots or AI bots are becoming so powerful that any company who employs them gains a significant advantage, and those companies who don't employ them will very quickly fall behind. And honestly, I don't think he's wrong. But what I think we are seeing is we're seeing the foundation of the technology for the image of the beast, which is given breath life, which will ultimately be somehow gain power over governance. Hopefully when we're gone.
The challenge, of course, is that cooling, you can't take advantage of conduction and convection.
Exactly.
And so you can only use radiation. And radiation requires very large surfaces. And so now that's not an impossible thing to solve, and there's a lot of space in space. But nonetheless, the expense is still quite there. Is there? We're going to go explore it. We're already there. We're already radiation hardened. We have CUDA in satellites around the world. They're doing imaging, image processing, AI imaging, and that kind of stuff ought to be done in space instead of sending all the data back here and do imaging down here. We ought to just do imaging out in space. And so there's a lot of things that we ought to do in space. And in the meantime, we're going to explore what does the architecture of data centers look like in space, and it'll take years. It's okay. I got plenty of time.
So this is one of the big pushes from Elon Musk is when he realized the amount of power that was going to be required to power data centers. He realized that it's going to be slower and more expensive to do it on the planet, and then it would be cheaper and quicker to do it in outer space. So it sounds like Jensen is joining Elon Musk in that endeavor, and that they are actively exploring the technology to accomplish that. Good on them. All right, the humanoid hub. Ashok Eluzwami, Tesla's AI lead, during a GTC discussion, highlighting the fundamental similarity in AI approaches for self-driving cars and humanoid robots. Hierarchical decision-making. How long is this? This is 2 minutes. We can watch this.
Not much, I would say. It's still an end-to-end model that takes in videos in, produces low-level controls out. And while I think hierarchical decision-making is useful, it has to be done as part of the same decision-making process of the lower-level controls. It cannot be separated and like separate model taking higher-level decisions.
I think we need to find a better video. That's going to be hard to listen to. Let's see. Doge designer global population to shrink this century as birth rate falls. The world is set to have 200, what's MN, million? 200 MN fewer people than previously expected by 2100. Fertility rates have fallen below the replacement rate in most continents. Global population to shrink this century. Yeah. You know, I keep telling my wife I want 12 kids. She's just not having it. So we're contributing to the lack of population growth. Chibi Trump. What? Oh, try Grok Imagine Chibi template. Oh my goodness, super cute. Looks like a SpaceX mission. What is this? End wokeness. Riviera Beach gunman. I shot every one of those people. Lawyer says, shush, this is being recorded. Gunman, I shot him in the... Ugh. Wow.
Okay, people that were supposed to be killed, they didn't die. Nobody died. Obviously, right?
Well, one person did. You do have one count.
Nobody died, sir.
I'm just...
You want me to show you how?
No, I'm just...
I shot every one of the people. No, I shot...
Oh, boy. Huh. be careful. I don't know what YouTube will censor, what YouTube will get us for. They're kind of sensitive about this kind of stuff. All right, what's Elon got to say?
But having two planets that are both self-sustaining and strong, I think is going to be incredibly important for the long-term survival of civilization. So, I think any given civilization is likely to last maybe, 10 times longer, maybe much longer, if it is a multi-planet civilization than if it is a single-planet civilization.
I think God's already got this one sorted out. From what we've seen with the end time events, seal number 6 seems to be the magnetic pole shift. Seal number 7, after some of the bowls and trumpet judgments, there's an indication at potentially Pangea making a comeback, which is the single supercontinent. So there's some definite something planetary scale catastrophes that are planned for Earth, but it seems, since it's written in the scripture and we're warned about it ahead of time, is what that tells us is that God is in control and that he will make a way for those who are his to escape. Woe to those who do not belong to him. So my encouragement is make sure that you are following the Jesus and his Father, the Lamb and the Lamb's Father of the Lamb, to make sure you're written in his book. All right, Peter H. Diamandis, MD, you've got 8 billion potential customers on Earth, but in 2026, only 5.3 billion have internet. That means 2.7 billion people still can't access the potential tools we talk about daily. AI, telemedicine, online education, digital banking. To be fair, there's a lot of people who don't want those things. The Amish, for instance. SpaceX patented the trick to make your phone think that flying cell towers are standing still. Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone who is sprinting past you at 17,000 miles per hour. That is exactly what your phone has to do to connect to a SpaceX satellite. Cool. Oh boy, I don't even know if I can read this. He's going to unalive whites. I got out 2 days ago. Democrats keep letting criminals out of jail to hunt white people. Remember the media tried hiding? I got that white girl. DeCarlos Brown after. Wow. Nobody. Are they scared or they just don't care? Yeah. This is kind of how I figured the end time would be. Boy. Well, we can't show violence on here, so. Be a dictator. Dictate feature in Grok Web can now be activated with shortcut Control D. Be a dictator. Elon. Oh, somebody's generating him smoking. Elon. I don't know. I don't condone smoking, but I got to admit he does look cooler smoking. Oh boy. She corrects the grammar. All right. From JC Christopher, I went to the exact same location of the Cybertruck accident shown in the Fox News video. This is US 6959 East X Freeway, northbound HOV lane at the Y split near. So what is this? I imagine he talks about this. Oh, really? One of these videos? I don't know what just happened. Apparently the post disappeared. Maybe he deleted it. Oh, no, there it is again. All right. Is he not going to talk? Well, I tested it twice today with Tesla full self-driving engaged. The entire time was 0. I feel like I'm being trolled. Am I being trolled here? That is so weird. We just find a bug. Okay. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if it's a bug on the system or what. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Bizarre. Anyway, moving on. Looking for land to build a house. Grok is helping me with all the paperwork and design just in the start phase, but looks like Grok will save me lots of money in the process of building a house. Cool use. Everybody's... It's fun and super easy to use. Makes cool memes using Grok Imagine. I've had a little bit of fun with it. Let's see. As a user, it's simple. Okay, we just need to get away from this Grok stuff. It's too distracting. It's not really important right now. There's absolutely no reason to blame white people for slavery, and it makes no sense. Africans sold their own into slavery, yet white people are blamed for eternity. Same thing. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. I mean, it's written in the Bible. Africans sold their own into slavery, but only the white man is blamed for eternity. Indeed. This is from the best. I hate lazy people. Why? We didn't even do anything. Hee hee. Oh my goodness. Algorithm is better today than 3 months ago. I can't answer that. I don't know. Let's see. Europe selected again this gene for centuries by hanging about 1% of each generation in a continual harsh effort against crime. All serious crimes were capital crimes, and centuries of effort meant eventually this gene, which amounts to a crime gene, was selected against. The 2-repeat gene confers increased risk for shooting and stabbing behaviors. Interesting. Oh my God, there's no crime gene, but there is a propensity to shoot and stab someone gene. It's the 2-repeat allele of MAOA gene. African Americans are 50 times more likely to carry this gene. Oh my God. I don't even know if that's real, but it's hilarious. All right, Jesse Pelton, we should revive traditional clothing. So many cultures have really cool traditions and manufacturing techniques. I think that happens just naturally. Fashion in 2026 still looks like 2006. Maybe. They could literally be in the process of being stabbed and think, what a shame the systematically racist society made this poor boy think he needed to do this. I forgive him. Yikes. Am I just like in a meme thing? Silicon Valley was ahead of its time. Oh, this is good.
Guilfoyle just said.
Guilfoyle made a bot.
Guilfoyle, what the fuck is going on? I just texted you and you were, we've been texting back and forth all day. Was that not you?
Complicated question. Is your shadow you?
Was that a bot?
Yes.
So I spent all day chatting with a bot?
Yes.
You made an AI Guilfoyle?
Yes.
And I was talking to it?
Do you need the real me for this conversation?
You can't just fuck with people and manipulate them because you don't have the decency to want to interact with a coworker. Gabe wants to know if he'll need a jacket if he walks too much. And if so, can he borrow a jacket? Look at him. Fucking.
That was a good show. Boy, that one keeps showing up. What is this? The limiting factor will shift from chips to energy on Earth, then back to chips when space solar power is unlocked. Fair enough. It's just going to be, today's just a meme day. Is today is today Nissan 1? Is this like what we can expect from Nissan 1? It is, isn't it? Nissan 1 right there. Apparently Nissan 1 is meme day. Status day 19,977 of retard maxing. Things are going really well. Let's get some of these memes. How was your day? What's with the smoking Elon? Oh my goodness. All right, here. Something actually substantial.
In a natural extension of the environmentalist movement, if you go too far, you start to look at humanity as a bad thing. You start to look at humanity as though we are a plague on the surface of the earth, as though humanity is a bad thing. And in fact, there are some people who think and say explicitly that, in fact, there was on the front page of the New York Times, there was a guy who said, there are 8 billion people on earth, it would be better if there were none. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
In the natural extension of the environmentalist movement, if you go too far, you start to look at humanity.
That is a true statement. You know, it's so funny because so many people thought that Elon Musk was like this environmentalist because he's building all these companies that are like energy efficient, like the electric car. Like he's the first one to actually make a successful, like seriously successful electric car. And because of that, many people falsely assumed that he was doing it to protect the universe. He was not the universe, the planet. He was doing it to protect the planet and reduce emissions. He may have used that for marketing strategies, but you know, in the same language that he's saying here is you can take things to the extreme. There's a degree of wisdom in things, but if you go too far, then you start to the system starts to attack itself. He's famously known for saying that if he had a button to remove all gas in use today, he wouldn't push it because our system, it would shock the system too much. You need a gradual transition from one technology to the other. He is merely working on that transition. And that's the thing that people don't understand is they want it all and they want it now because of their, you know, they fear. People work so predominantly based on their fears. And, you know, and it's no thanks to our government and our politicians and the lobbyists who are out there advocating for stupid things. They're always working in 10-year cycles that, oh no, if we don't change now, if we don't get billions of dollars now, the earth is going to freeze over in 10 years. 10 years later, oh no, if we don't get billions of dollars, the earth is going to burn, in 10 years. When the reality of it is the entire earth is in God's hands. It's going to do what it's going to do. And right now, prophecy is being fulfilled, and God is transitioning this world out of the curse that was initiated with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It is going to go back to what it was in the Garden of Eden, by all accounts. That's what it seems like is going to happen, is it's transitioning. It seems to be transitioning back to that earth, and it's 100% in God's hands. What we do has, other than our belief and love and praise of God, but the things we do on earth with like polluting the atmosphere or too much carbon dioxide or monoxide or whatever, none of those things matters. It's all in God's hands. And that's the thing we really need to realize, is that God's going to do what God's going to do. So yeah. Let's see. No, we don't need that. That's March 18th. Grok Imagine. Don't need Grok Imagine. It's almost like they can't be trusted. It would be more efficient to create a list of partners who haven't been so. Okay, that was yesterday's posts. Are we through today? I think we are. That's 22 hours ago. I think that's from yesterday. Yeah. All right. We are through today. There you go. Elon Musk. Okay. Let's see. I guess we could call it this one. We'll see how it works out.
Awake, awake, O Zion, arise. Shake off the dust. Lift your eyes. The chains that bound you are broken at last. Your time of sorrow is now in the past. From darkness to light, you call me to shine. Your glory surrounds, your love is divine. No longer a captive, my soul takes its flight. O Lord, you lead me from darkness to light.
All right. right, so we've got a bunch of videos today, so we're going to we're done early with the Torment report, so we should have plenty of time to go through these, depending on how much I stop and talk during them. But pretty much the theme is preparation. Yeah, like this is what I've been noticing as like a common topic for today, and I think it's pertinent given everything that's going on. With what's going on in the world today, regardless of which seal we're in, whether we're in 4 or 5, definitely there's a lot of information to be learned here, and I think this is really good content. We're going to start with Parsha Inspired, one of my up and coming favorite channels to watch, and listen to him talking about
this is
these end times. So here we go.
Actually, the prophecy which stares in the face of Christendom and Islam, because stage 4 is already halfway done. It seems like everything in stage 1, stage 2.
Yeah, Michael Knight, you're preaching to the choir, dude. None of us are sufficient enough to save ourselves. We're all aware that Jesus paid the price.
And stage 3 has happened. The final end already happened. The only question left: what happens when a nation disappears for 2,000 years and then comes back exactly as its ancient text said it would? For Judaism, that's fulfilled.
Well, and I would add that it comes back exactly the way, well, yeah, so he's focusing on the ancient text, but this same pattern holds true with what Jesus said, because Jesus said in John 14:29, I tell you these things beforehand, so that when they begin to happen, you will believe. So part of watching these things come to pass, it's no coincidence that they coincide with the events that Jesus told us to watch for.
But for Christianity and Islam, it creates a serious problem. Here's the claim. The Hebrew Bible doesn't just say the Jews will survive. It says they will return from all over the world, rebuild their land, and become a nation again in Israel. In this video, we're going to go through the 4 stages of redemption. And actually, redemption begins with stage 1.
I love this video. He actually does a really good job with these stages. It's really interesting. This is why we're watching it.
At stage 4, that's where we're at right now. And the first stage begins with stage 1, and that's what we're going to look at right now, which is the predicted exile. So we're going to look at Deuteronomy, and we're going to show how not only wasn't the exile random, it was actually foretold. You will experience the curse and the blessing, and you will reflect on the situation in the lands that you are banished by God. So clearly, in Deuteronomy, it's showing a time when the Jewish people will be banished from the land. Furthermore, in Deuteronomy 30:20, it says that you must make a choice. Either you love God and you obey him and attach yourself to him, and that is the sole means of survival and long life and dwelling in the land that God swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he would give to them. So this again shows that sin was the reason for the exile. Ezekiel 36:19 again shows this prophecy. I scattered them among the nations, and they were dispersed through the countries, and according to the ways of their doings I judged them. So the scattering of the nations comes about as a result of sin. And that brings us to stage 2, which is the global ingathering. God will then bring back your remnants and have mercy on you. God, your Lord, will once again gather you from among the nations. So what's important about this verse is,
you know, I need to represent this on my timelines. Because right now, oops, go back home. Right now, this is just covering from 2017 to 2028. but there's no reason. I really need to add in the 1948 and the 1967 dates on here so that we can get a fuller picture. It's covered on a couple of these timelines. There's several people who have it on their different timelines. Does Christian have it on his? No. I'll need to add it to my timeline just so that we can see it visually represented on here. I'll do that tonight.
Is that we're predicting that the Jews will be scattered among all nations. I mean, China is a very big country. There's not a lot of Chinese people in Israel, but yet there have been Jews in China, and Jews have been scattered around the world. Even if your diaspora is at the end of the heavens, God will gather you up from there and he'll take you back. God, your Lord, will then bring you to the land that your ancestors occupied, and you too will occupy it. God will be good and make you flourish even more than your ancestors. So again, this is a prediction. This has happened. We are already at stage 4, like I said before. Ezekiel 36, for I will take you from among the nations and gather you from all countries and bring you into your land. 28, you will dwell in the land which I gave to your fathers, and you will be my people, and I will be your God. So this is a prediction that you're going to come back and dwell in the land. Jeremiah 31.
Came to pass.
Behold, I will bring them forth from the north and gather them from the farthest ends of the earth. Among them the blind, the lame, the woman, the child, the woman in labor, a great company will return here. So once again, the same prediction that the Jews will return. Isaiah 11, he will hold up a banner for the nations, assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Yep.
So this brings us to the next stage, which is stage 3. Stage 3, the land comes back to life. Ezekiel 36:33, Amos 9.
You know, and we haven't really spent a lot of time on this, on the land coming back to life. It would almost warrant doing an entire video just seeing the agriculture, because there's a lot of really amazing things that are taking place in Israel. They've developed new technologies for farming in difficult environments. They've even discovered seeds. I don't know if it was in the Dead Sea caves, but they found ancient grains and ancient seeds that they've actually planted and are growing the plants that were from Jesus's day and age. They're like 2,000 years old. So this is indeed happening. So like all of these are signs. These are part of the prophetic fulfillment that points us to that we're in the end times. And there's this recognition with both Jews and Christians that we're in this, we're converging at this point in time, which is further evidence that Mashiach is going to come back soon. Maybe this year would be cool.
For here, we're going to show that there are actually several parts of this prediction. Number one, that the land will be desolate, and then it will flourish.
Yep.
Number two, the cities won't be built. And number three, they will be rebuilt as the Jews return. And this, we could start with Ezekiel 36. And you, the mountains of Israel, will produce your branches, and you will bear your fruit for my people Israel, for we are about to come. Here, the prophet tells us.
You know, and another thing I would add to the rebuilding with the Jews coming into the land of Israel, not only are they flourishing, but God is blessing them abundantly to the point to where they have such advanced technology. And you know that God inspired this. God inspired their technicians and their engineers and their, those who are inventing this technology. He inspired them to be able to make these things like Iron Dome, for this day, for such a day as we're living in right now, because it is fulfilling the promises and the prophecies that God would knock the arrows out of the air that are launched towards Israel. That's happening today. it's fulfilled in a different way. If you're a literalist and you're expecting God to literally, knock literal arrows out, well, that's not happening. But missiles are arrows; they're a form of arrows, and they're being actively launched even today. Like many times today, I've gotten rocket alerts. Let's see if I have one right now. When was the last time I got a rocket alert? Last time I got a rocket alert was, oh boy, 30 minutes ago. 5 incoming rockets been knocked out of the air. So God continues to knock those arrows, missiles, out of the air. And that's part of this flourishing in the land. Like, who would have thought that in such a short period of time, just since 1948, that the Jews would not only come into a land that was desolate, but also become one of the superpowers in the world? Only by God can such a thing happen.
Us over and over again that this land is unlike America or any other land in the world, where the land doesn't care what nationality the person who's putting the seed in the land is. But in Israel, God says two things: that only the Jews putting seeds in the land will produce fruit, and that will only happen when God wants the Jews back. Jeremiah 31, and you will plant vineyards in the hills of Samaria. I've done that. So that's a strange prophecy. Why tell us these things? So these all prophecies, stage 1, 2, and 3, have been fulfilled. We'll get to stage 4 in a few minutes, or in a minute. But for now, let's take a look at Amos. Behold, the days are coming, God says, when this plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes, the one who sows seed. The mountains, there will be an abundance of growth. That has happened. And when we look at these prophecies, therefore, God says in Amos, and I will return the captivity of my people. They shall rebuild the desolate cities and inhabit them, and shall plant vineyards and drink their wine, and shall make gardens and eat their fruit. This too, the building of the cities, the physical infrastructure, is a biblical prediction. It's unlike any other land. And God says this specifically in these verses that are in black and white on the screen. Ezekiel 36:33. And this is a succession of verses 33, 34, 35, 36, which ultimately say that this is what God says. God says, on the day that I cleanse you from all your iniquities, when the Jews repent, and repentance alone, I will cause the cities to be inhabited and the wastes to be rebuilt. Now, this, my friends, is so powerful, because what God is saying over here, Ezekiel is saying, this prophet, and either you accept this prophecy or not, and this is actually the prophecy which stares in the face of Christendom and Islam. But they have to admit that if the Jews have been banished because of their sin and they will never be brought back, it seems like everything in stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 has happened. Mm-hmm. And the prediction of saying a prediction that it's going to only happen when God wants it, when the Jews repent. And that brings us to 36:34, and the desolate land will be tilled instead of lying desolate. And that's so important, because lying desolate is also a fulfillment of prophecy. And here, and they will say, the land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden. And that switch, as the Jewish people being the nutrition of the land, now it's fortified and inhabited. So this is uniquely important in understanding this prophecy. And then we get to the final verse over here, which is Ezekiel 36:36.
That is so cool.
Then the nations that were left around you will know that I, God, rebuilt. V'yodu hagoyim asher yisharu sviv v'seichem. Ki ani Hashem, I am God. Baniti anerasais, I've built up the ruins. Natati nishama, I've replanted that was desolate. I, God, have spoken, and I will do it. God says, after you come back on your own will, and you plant, and you build up Jerusalem, because it's impossible for anybody other nation to do this. God says, when you do it, it is witness that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're beginning to understand why Christendom and Islam have a problem. Because stage 4 is already halfway done. We finished stage 1, we finished stage 2, we finished stage 3, and we're halfway through stage 4. And this is why this war has to happen now. Stage 4 says the national restoration, Ezekiel 37. After nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people became a nation again in the same exact land. And that's a problem. Ezekiel 37 says, say to them, thus says God the Lord, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the nations into which they have gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their land. Ezekiel 37:22, I'll make them one nation in the land. Over here, the focus is on the word nation, upon the mountain of Israel, and we're almost there. One king will be over them, and that's Messiah. And there will no longer be two nations and no longer divided into two kingdoms. They will.
And this is where the convergence is between Jew and Christian, is the Jews are recognizing that we're at this place ready for Mashiach, Messiah, to come. At the same time, the Christians are. Many, and it's interesting because both Jew and Christian have false understandings on both sides, which are being dissolved. Every day that these prophecies are fulfilled, the assumptions that we've made are being dissolved. Ultimately, the Jews are going to realize that Jesus is the Messiah they're waiting for. And Christians are going to realize that they have more in common with Jews than they were originally taught. There's many Christians right now that have a particular narrative that they're waiting to happen. That's not going to happen. Such as the number one, the temple being rebuilt, and then this character, some guy going in and declaring himself God. They call him the Antichrist. That ain't going to happen. That's not written in Scripture. So there's learning and there's a coming together on both parts. This is why I think that you've got the fathers and the children are reconciling, because you can just see everything coming back and just starting to converge and cross back into exactly how God said it would happen. It's an amazing thing to watch. You have to be very humble. If during this time you're hitting people over the head because, trying to prove you're right about something, you're very likely going to be proven wrong. There's so many people who are making these claims that, so-and-so's the Antichrist. Well, it ain't happening. If you want to have, discussions about the accuracy of the Scripture, that's great. But right now we should be watching and paying attention, because so many of the things that we assumed are so many of the things we assumed about this time is actually happening, and we're learning about those things we assumed about. It's just such an amazing time to be alive, to watch this stuff come to pass.
Will dwell in the land in which their fathers dwelt, which I gave to Jacob, my servant, and they and their children will be there forever and ever. And as Ezekiel 37:26 says, in addition, I'll make a covenant with peace with them, an everlasting covenant. See, if we get to this next stage, then there's no turning back. And this is the shift. This is really the problem. It creates tension for Christian theology, and therefore there needs to be an answer to this question.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they say the Jews have to do this. And
all right, what has he got on here? So he's got Christianity tension. Here's where this becomes uncomfortable. Get used to being uncomfortable. Everybody is learning right now. Both sides. The replacement theology idea. If Jews are restored physically, what does that mean? Islam tension. Islam sees itself as a final stage. Jewish national return challenges that narrative. Yeah, I mean, it does. Like I said, we're at this convergence point. And I really should start to include, the Muslims in Islam, because they're people too. And I imagine some of them are going to be saved as well. My knowledge of Islam and Muslims is significantly less. I was raised Christian, and that's where the majority of my focus has been, is in the scripture. I've been slowly but surely learning about Islam, so I really should start including them more. I do believe that there's going to be many who are saved. But yeah, so like replacement theology, is he talking about the idea that that the law has been done away with? This is one of those things that Christians are going to learn the hard way, and we know this from the scariest verse in the Bible. Matthew 7:22? For many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, did we not cast out demons in your name? Did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not do many wonderful works in your name? And I will tell them, get behind me, I never knew you, you who practice lawlessness. That's the scariest verse in the Bible, because if you're doing things, if you're under the impression that you're doing something in the name of your king, in the name of, in some place, whoever you think he is, if you're doing stuff on his behalf and he tells you weren't, that's going to be the biggest wake-up call. That's what makes that the scariest verse in the Bible. And you got to pay attention. You cannot deny the fact that he says that they are practicing lawlessness. So if you're under the impression that the law was done away with, and you're under the impression that you need to do that certain things are done in his name, be prepared, or they're going to be unprepared for that day when he says, I never knew you, get behind me, you who practice lawlessness. So what does that tell you? It means you should practice the law. The law is not a scary thing. It is not this evil death, machine. Jesus fulfilled the law. He came to fulfill the law. He came to show us how to properly fulfill the law. He came to show us the heart of the law, which is love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So every single one of those 613 commandments fits within that framework. So if you're reading one of those commandments and it doesn't fit within that framework, there's likely a misunderstanding or something is wrong about that, to where maybe you're looking at it in the wrong way, or you just don't understand, and you need to understand how it is loving somebody, because everybody's got things that they do that they don't realize is unloving. A lot of people care for themselves before, over and above others, rather than loving their neighbors as themselves. So let's continue.
Jews are restored physically. What does that mean?
Replacement theology is the belief that Christians replace Jews as God's chosen people. We're all one big family. No, Watchful, that is not what he is talking about. Replacement theology is the belief that Jews lost their covenant and that Christians replaced them in God's eyes as God's chosen people. Oh, yeah, that's not true. Yeah, that's not true. Both Jews and Christians have got failings that are being corrected in this end time. We're all going to be one big happy family when this is all said and done.
And in Islam, since Islam sees itself as being the final stage of the world, and the truth is, in some ways, the Jewish Torah does say that Yishmael repents at the end, but that's because he recognizes the miracle.
So this is part of the reason for two harvests is because there's stubborn Christians that are going to have to go through the wrath, and there's stubborn Jews that are going to go through the wrath. But at the same time, there are both Jews and Christians who are in that first harvests, the harvest of the wheat and the tares. So that's how you know that in the end, we're all going to be one big happy family.
That happened during the
some of us are going to go through harder times than others.
Magog war, and this is important. It's a separate video, but the nations of the world will witness the miracles that are taking place and create this tension, this shift that we're feeling right now. The nations will know that I, God, sanctify Israel, and my sanctuary is in their midst. And this is, I guess, part 3 of stage 4, which we're in right now. We're in stage 4, part 3, and we're about to build the third temple. And Iran knows this. And Iran almost had...
You know, they keep saying that they're about to build the third temple. I do, you know, I am aware that there is building that is taking place. So what do they mean? I think yesterday it made sense that they could build the altar in short time. But to actually build the third temple, my understanding is the third temple is 70 square miles by 70 square miles. Where are they going to be able to build that and build it according to the specifications in Ezekiel? I'd like to hear the answer to that from them.
The power to try to stop it.
Because I don't think that can, I honestly don't think that can happen until after Christ returns and we're done through all the seals.
And that's where we're up to right now. But it gets more interesting. The current war is a people exiled, scattered across the world, returning, rebuilding, exactly as it describes. And here's where it comes uncomfortable. See, God says that all those people who are on the wrong side of the argument, who wanted to kill the Jews, God will put all the curses on him. And Jeremiah says, declare in the far-off islands, he who scattered Israel will gather him and tender him as a sheep. Jeremiah is saying, let everybody in the world know that when this happens, the prophecy has been fulfilled. For God has redeemed Jacob and freed him from a stronger power. And that is the important message, the miracles that we are witnessing. Zechariah, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for I am coming. Zechariah 2:15, many nations will join themselves, and many nations will witness the miracles, and they'll realize that God is working through the Jewish people. And what's uncovering right now with the Jews returning, God ultimately puts in Deuteronomy 30:15 this choice to the entire world. I have set before you a free choice, good on one side and evil on the other. And God asks us to choose good. Because, you see, the final end already happened. The only question left is how quickly the last few stages will happen. How quickly will the end of the last remnants of the Jewish people return to the heart? The Judaism and the Jewish people, their heart, their soul has returned to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the center, both spiritually and physically.
You know, there's actually quite a lot of Jews who have come to recognize that Yeshua is the Messiah they're waiting for. You know, as evidenced by Tovia Singer, that is kind of his mission, is to win them back to Judaism, because he's still under the impression that Jesus is not the Messiah. That's why I think that, like, he's a linchpin. Once he realizes that Jesus is the Messiah, he's going to realize that all this time he's been trying to, you know, win people over to Judaism. He's going to come to realize himself that Jesus is the Messiah, and it's all going to click for him, because, you know, not a lot of Jews actually study the New Testament. He's actually studied the New Testament. He's probably got more of it memorized than I do. It's just he views it through that Old Testament Jewish lens, which prevents him from seeing that Jesus is the Messiah. But we're in this period of time right now to where things are written in the New Testament that were not written in the Old Testament that are coming to pass. And that proves, that is concrete evidence that Yeshua is the Messiah, because those things are attributed to him. He is the one who told us these things would happen. He's the one who told us to watch, and those that are watching are blessed to see these things come to pass. But ultimately, it's the fulfillment of those things that he said would happen is the evidence that he is the Messiah. And there's going to come a day when they have to, they're faced with the choice, so they have to recognize that. The last holdouts Hopefully it's before. Hopefully it's the first the harvest and not the harvest of the grapes of wrath.
For the Jewish people today. And if this isn't a miracle, then the Bible wasn't written by God. Thank you for watching. Shalom from Israel. If you have any questions, leave in the description. All the texts are pretty straightforward. I use the Living Torah, which is by Reb Aryeh Kaplan. I use that translation.
Man, I tell you, I really enjoy his channel. I like to find these channels where they present things in a positive light. Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein is another one of my favorites. This is him because even though he suffered great tribulation, multiple mass shootings, many family have been lost to, terrible terrorism and mass shootings. He still maintains his positive nature and to be a light in the world. Despite that, this video is, again, so we're on this subject of being prepared and preparing for the things that are coming on the world right now. We're learning these things because we're in this period of time, and I agree wholeheartedly with what's being said with previous video, and then even Glenn Beck here. Glenn Beck was actually one of my candidates for the two witnesses, but he even as often as he is in the spotlight, he doesn't fit all the qualifications. He doesn't have enough power and control over the world, for one, and he's not publicly speaking every single day. There's periods of time where he takes breaks. That's the weird thing about Donald Trump and Elon Musk is even if it's one post or one public appearance, they are still actively speaking truth every single day, and they've maintained that cadence for 400 and some odd days now, 22 days, 23 days. All right, here we go. Let's listen to this.
What happened in Iran is what is happening in the United States of America. Marxists, communists, and Islamists are working to destabilize the Western world. They are working together to overthrow Western civilization, and their last stop is the United States of America. Not one of their invasion plans included coming across the border into Texas, because they knew Texans knew who they were, understood the power and the grace and the goodness of this country, and knew how to use weapons.
Is Islamism arriving to the shores of the United States of America? Let's listen to Glenn Beck as he dives in to help us understand what is happening now in the fluid situation with Islam in America.
There are two things that are going to come facing the world. One is Islamism and Sharia law. Two is the hunting of Jews again.
And Christians.
I was born to stand against those things and ring a bell. I ring a bell. Those things are coming. They are coming beyond your imagination, and you must do everything you can to fortify yourself so you can stand and stand counted on his side. On his side. This is a sword from one of the tribes that was selling the white man the slaves. They were rounding them up. This is a Muslim sword from Africa and the slave trade. And today, while our country, while the Western civilization had said, no more of this, no more slavery, you are not allowed to sell men and women and children in the open market, Islam is still selling men, women, and children in the open market.
I'd hate to be in the front row of this. There, put the knife down, Glenn.
An evil ideology. Political Islam is an evil ideology. And I'm a guy who just raised money to help elect a Muslim in Congress out of Arizona named Judy Zasser. Zudi has, I've known him for 20 years. He is a Muslim. You know him, Frank. He is a Muslim who is one of the first people to stand up and say, this is an evil ideology. Political Islam is death to the Western culture. We cannot paint people with broad brushstrokes. We must know our enemy and be able to articulate it clearly. Otherwise, you will be duped by people in Hugo Boss. We are hopefully, maybe, if we're very fortunate and if God wills it, and we are humble enough and pray and he still listens to us at all, maybe the people of Iran will be free. I told my staff this morning, prepare. The world could be in total chaos by Monday when we come back to work, or we could be looking at a free Iran and free Persian people by Monday.
Yeah.
Most people don't understand. I was younger, obviously, when I feel like Methuselah lately, but I was much younger when the Shah left. And I really didn't understand what was going on. I really thought that this was a big religious movement and that people really wanted, this religion of Islam. And no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Here's what happened. Marxists came into Iran. Marxists started to undermine everything. Marxists and Islamists began working together to destabilize the country, overthrow the Shah. And the United States of America under Jimmy Carter said, meh, okay. What happened in Iran is what is happening in the United States of America. Marxists, communists, socialists, anarchists, and Islamists are working to destabilize the Western world. They are working together to overthrow Western civilization, and their last stop is the United States of America.
This does seem to be the case, and this has been kind of one of the missing pieces of the puzzle that we've been looking for. And the big concern is Biden left the borders wide open for 4 years. Who came into our country during this time? We already know murderers, rapists, pedophiles, evil people came into our country. But what about other evil people who belong to a death cult, a religion of death who wants to kill? How many of them are in our country? Glenn has acknowledged and tracked those who have come in to intentionally deceive and undermine our culture, our laws, and our civilization. But what about the extremists? What about those who aren't in office? Everything seems to be pointing to a day to where there's going to be a conflict between them and us.
As Steve just said, the crown jewel is Texas. There were lots of different things all kinds of plans the Russians, the Soviets had made to invade the United States. Not one of their invasion plans included coming across the border into Texas. You know why? Because they knew Texans knew who they were. They knew Texans understood the power and the grace and the goodness of this country.
I think Fury's right in this regard, and that there's a lot of Muslims in Texas. But, I don't think it's fair. I don't know if he's speaking factually here in this case, to where he's saying that none of the plans included going into Texas. But the United States as a whole has more armed citizens today, even though you see a lot of gun arguing and fighting, gun laws being debated in the courts. And it seems as though, there are extreme anti, Second Amendment people. There are more guns and ammunitions in the United States today than ever before in the world. So, there's a funny saying, which is probably pretty true, that there's a gun behind every blade of grass in the United States. And this is one of the things that actually protects our country. It's not just Texas. There are many other extremely Second Amendment friendly states. Even many Democrat states, believe it or not, are Second Amendment friendly. Oregon is actually one of them. You can still buy AR-15s, machine guns and silencers and all those kind of things in Oregon. So it's not just Texas, Glenn. They really have to. Anybody who wants to go into any state in the United States has really got to think twice, because fully armed rednecks are everywhere.
Country, and they also knew Texans were armed and knew how to use weapons. At the end of World War II, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, he saw this figure rising up in Jerusalem, in Germany, and he thought, this guy is amazing. This guy is incredible. This guy has the plan for not just Germany, but the entire Middle East. He went and he presented himself to the Germans and to Hitler. And in our museum, we have original photos of the two of them together as they met. He went and he got the plans of the concentration camps and the death camps and the final solution. It's excited him so much, he said he wanted to build those all throughout the Middle East. That finally the Jew would be burned out of the Middle East. Persia, its name was changed to Iran. Mm-hmm. What does Iran mean in Persian? Aryan. We are your Aryan nation. The Grand Mufti brought the plans back. The Grand Mufti is the guy who started, was it Hamas or Hezbollah? One of the really, what is it? PLO. All of this is all tied together. When I talked to the doctor of ideas, I said, I can tell you right where it's coming from. It's going to start with the mullahs in Iran. When they say they are going to burn the Jew in the fire of the Islamic fury, they mean it. They mean it literally. Because that Islamic fury was corralled and shaped the last time it jumped. It jumped with the Grand Mufti and planted itself in the Middle East. And we dismiss it at our peril, because Jews are only the first. Christians are next.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn Beck, for your fiery, passionate words. You are so right.
Is it just me, or is his microphone way worse? What happened to his sound? His sound is terrible now.
That we don't know what they're...
He sound like he's in a bathroom, like in a closet. Not even a closet. Closet would actually have better sound.
Future holds. Not for the people of Iran and not for us here in America. But when you took out...
Oh, I wonder if he's in a bomb shelter. Is he in Israel? He might be in Israel. He might actually be in his bomb shelter, because they get rocket alerts many times a day.
That sword. It was a visual aid.
I thought he was in America,
for us
though.
To see and to feel and to understand what we are up against. We are dealing right now at a crossroads in the world. The world has moved forward into the 21st century, and we are prepared and ready to embrace the gifts, the miracles that God is giving us in these which we can even refer to as messianic times. We are seeing miraculous leaps in all areas of humanity. We're finally able to get ahead of the world starvation. We're living in most prosperous times where there's surplus of food that has never existed in the world. Our ways of communication, instantly, everyone knows about everything and anywhere. Travel, we can travel anywhere and any time. The advances in medicine, in technology, in AI, in academics, in understanding mental illness and understanding the human body. We could just go on and on and on. We're living in the best of times.
We are.
We are ready to embrace the future.
I think we're living in the best of times because we get the opportunity to see prophecy being fulfilled. Like, this is such a treat to be able to read the scripture and see what was written about many thousands of years ago coming to pass in this day. And in a lot of ways, it's actually correcting a lot of assumptions. It's realigning the interpretation of the scripture because we can see what was written and what's actually happening. Such an amazing time to be alive.
But we have a force, a religion that's trying to pull us back into the 6th and 7th century, where it was the sword that determined what God you pray to, what religion you belong to. That's in the 6th century. It has no place in the 21st century. After everything we have seen, after everything we have been through, we have come to learn and understand that religion is not something you fight and kill over.
Amen.
Religion needs to be earned through heart, through soul. Judaism does not proselytize. It does not seek others to adopt the ways we believe. Judaism is a religion that believes wholeheartedly that every person has a right to believe what works for them. What their own personal spiritual journeys, calling is where you should go.
Yep.
And therefore, if you are a Christian, then be Christian. If you are Catholic, be Catholic. Or any of the other denominations under the Christian religion. Or if you're Muslim.
That's a really good way to think for Christians to wrap their head around that too. I know I wasn't raised that way. Many of you know that I was raised in a church that became a cult. I don't know if they're a cult today. I would say they still have cult tendencies because they don't want anything to do with me. Trust me, I've tried. I've offered to come and sit down with their researchers because they claim to be a biblical research, teaching, and fellowship ministry. I've offered to come sit with their researchers and fellowship with them and go through this with them. And they've threatened to have me arrested. So I guess they don't think very highly of me. But yeah, there's still people in there whom I love that I would love to see again someday. But that's in my experience, that is a somewhat common attribute to where one of the unfortunate attributes of religion is it tends to be a closed environment to where they're not accepting of even Christians aren't accepting of other Christians. They get haughty, they get prideful that their way is the right way and everybody else is wrong. You get that with, Baptists and Catholics and Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, and everybody has these disagreements when the reality of it is we all have problems. We have all got things we got wrong, and we need to come together and focus on accepting, you are where you are for a reason, and God is you're going to get benefit from where you are. Be blessed that you are where you are, and don't be afraid that you're in the wrong place. Because even when you look at the 7 churches, Jesus broke it down into 7 categories. You realize that those categories are different places. People are in different places in their lives. But if you overcome those things, if you realize that we're really one big happy family, and that to obey the law is to love God and love your neighbor as yourself, then you're going to win. You're going to overcome. And you're going to be okay with people who aren't exactly like you. And that's very much the Jewish perspective, is be the best you can be the light that God has made you to be where you are. He's placed you on a candlestick. Be the best candlestick you can be and shine bright.
Be Muslim, but don't be a radical idealist, jihadist going around killing, threatening people's lives. If you're Hindu, be Hindu. We all may have variant theological belief systems. It doesn't make us better or different.
Yeah.
We are all created in the image of God.
I guarantee you that when Messiah comes back, Messiah is the one who's going to set us all straight. You know, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, he's the one who's going to be in charge. He's the one who's going to be doing the dividing. He's the one who's going to be letting you know, yeah, wrong, yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, you over here were wrong, you over here were right. That's the whole parable of the talents. You know, you were given certain talents. What did you do with those talents? Did you spend time multiplying those talents, loving your neighbor as yourself? Or did you spend time burying talents and causing other people to be afraid and bury their talents? Woe to you, wicked and evil and slothful servants.
And no matter what religion you're born into, that's the religion you belong. That's where your calling is, and that's where you need to be. There's absolutely no need for anyone to impose their beliefs on someone else. It's not for them. If they were meant to be born Christian or Muslim or Hindu, they would have been born. God did not see it that way. When you are born a Jew, please be Jewish. Respect your heritage. Find your way back home. And the same thing for all other religions. If that's what your heritage is, embrace it and grow with it. But do not force anyone to believe what you believe. Even though we may have theological differences in our belief systems, it should not and cannot divide us and break us as human beings or hurt each other over it. Those are things of the past, of the 6th century, 7th century days of the Inquisitions, the Crusades, and throughout all world history, when people...
Yeah, if your religion causes you to hate somebody because they're not you, you need to find the love of God in that mentality. You need to learn how to love your neighbor as yourself. He's very right. I actually agree with this position. Like, you know, be blessed where you are.
Killed over religion. We're done with that. We learned our lesson from the Holocaust. We learned our lesson after losing over 20 million people during World War II. And Judaism suffered the most as one group. 6 million of us were gassed, was exterminated, was tortured, was murdered, was raped. 6 million. Think of the sheer numbers. Just happened 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And here again, we're faced with another tyrant, another Hitler, who is saying the exact same words as Hitler said in the 30s, that he wants to make the world Judenrein. And here we have a regime in Iran who's not just talking about making the world Judenrein, but also Christenrein. He wants to wipe Judaism and Christianity off the face of the earth.
Yep.
We are barely just recovering from the Holocaust. There are almost no Holocaust living witnesses, survivors around anymore, just a handful. I just met one this last weekend, and just embracing, they're soon going to be gone. But the memories will never be gone. When we said never again is now. And this is why the American people and anyone, or as the expression is, who's got a mind in between their shoulders, needs to see what's happening, needs to read the writing on the wall. We cannot allow history to repeat itself again, and then we'll be doomed and damned because we didn't do anything about it. We have a chance now to do something about it. We are in a much better situation now than we were in the 30s and the 40s when World War II was ravaging. We have an opportunity to eradicate and to obliterate and to neutralize the evil regime out there who's threatening our very existence. Mr. Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has said it many times during his press conferences during the war post-October 7, 2023, that the war that Israel is fighting is not a war for Israel. It's a war for the world. And we ought to be grateful for Israel for taking the hit, for standing up to the bully in the playground, to the bully in the Middle East, the Iranian regime, fighting a seven-front war, which Israel, such a small country, smaller than New Jersey, doesn't have the resources to fight a prolonged 2-year war, but yet it did, to save itself and the world. Let's stick with the right side of history. Be an ally with good and not with evil. Let's all pray together to God. Let's hold our hands in prayer that the war that began 47 years ago in Iran is finally coming to an end, because Israel and America are holding hands and coming together in the playground to take down the bully once and for all, that the world will not be threatened. One can only imagine what life would be post the downfall of this terror, bloodthirsty death cult regime. Imagine what it would be like when Iran goes back to the way it was before 1979, where women's rights were given to them, where liberals and freedoms, human rights, religious rights are restored to everyone, that everyone can now begin thinking for themselves and elect a democracy, a government that's going to serve you well and give you all the freedoms that you deserve and not impose on you any...
I'm just waiting for him to say that we should be a light to this world, because it's my favorite way he ends his videos, and it always brings a smile to my face. I hope he says it.
Sharia law, any other Islamic law, and any other religion, so that you can be all that you want to be and can be and should be what your calling is. It's time that we live as free people. Once Iran is freed, and Iran is no longer a state sponsor of terrorism,
that'll be exciting.
The Houthis, the Hezbollahs, and the Hamases are going to be underfunded, zero funding, and they will just, God willing, disseminate on its own. We're at a short watershed moment of history. Let's pray to God that we can see it happen. Thank you, Mr. Glenn Beck. Thank you, everyone, for your prayers. God bless you. God loves you.
Oh, come on. You didn't say we need to be a light. My favorite part. All right. Well, I had another video like that. I think we're going to put this off. You won't believe what's really happening in America. This is about the invasion. I think we get the point right now. So we're going to skip this one and move on to some different news. What's going on in the earth and around the world right now. So another channel that we love here is On the Pulse with Silky. Let's see what she has to say.
And unfortunately, we have to talk
where'd she go?
About the Cascadia fault again. And guys, trust me, I really don't like it, because this scares me, because I'm sitting right in the danger zone. So it's me again, live from the doomsday situation.
Where's the doomsday?
The most dangerous West Coast fault line shows signs of potential mega quake after 324 years of silence. This is...
Ooh, that might be something worth tracking. I hadn't thought about that. You know, I kind of stopped tracking the earthquakes when the amount of earthquakes was up 6,000%. Maybe we should get that back on as a metric that we should be tracking, and pay attention to fault lines that haven't been active in a long period of time, because if they all start being active, that would actually be evidence towards that Pangea theory.
Is a paper that I found. I'm like, oh, I should read that because it affects me. And of course, I want to let you guys know about this too.
Where is she?
So
is she in Seattle?
Several new factors that the scientists have discovered that,
or is that
are
California?
alarming.
I can't tell where she
is. So guys, I'll talk you through that while I'm sitting in a high-rise in the danger zone. So I guess I'm on the pulse for you guys. So if you value that, please leave this video an early like and hype, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you're new here, and let's dive into this. Seafloor, the sensors have detected unexpected pressure changes, and pressure changes at subduction zones like the Cascadia subduction zone that is not something that keeps my nerves calm, guys. I can tell you that. There's ocean bottom pressure sensors, pressure recorders. They're off the coast of the state of Washington. They have registered small but consistent fluctuations that, here comes, that differed from routine tidal cycles. So they're not normal. They're small, but that doesn't mean
maybe
anything.
She's in Canada,
I mean,
yeah.
In a way that it's small, forget about it. No, they're actually very meaningful. The timing, that's the issue as well. It has lined up with subtle deformation patterns that are measured onshore. So basically, the measurements are reconfirming each other. So according to the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, the combined signals suggest strain was increasing along, and here comes, the locked section of the fault. And we know what happens if a fault is locked and loaded and stress is building up. It's building up until boof, unfortunately. And we have a problem on the west coast of Canada and the US, guys. Watch this video. I put in the thumbnail wiped out because we have scientific evidence on the ocean floor discovered by coincidence. How? I'll tell you. Watch that video here. You see the thumbnail. I'll put it in the end screen. This is crazy. San Andreas Fault, Cascadia Fault, rupturing together, triggering each other. So when we're sitting here, west coast of Canada, west coast of the US, of Oregon and Washington, and we would hear that the overdue locked and loaded San Andreas Fault just triggered, we'd be like, San Andreas Fault doesn't go along our side. No, now the evidence is it has triggered the Cascadia Fault in the past and vice versa. Shortly after each other. Watch that video, guys. But let's talk about the big one, the Cascadia Fault. And for you that live in California, since that can trigger your fault, you should listen carefully. And you'll be affected by the monster tsunami that this thing will cause for sure. So we talked about accumulated strain on a subduction zone that is capable to produce a magnitude 9+ mega thrust disastrous earthquake with a tsunami wave that would come 8 to 15 minutes right after the quake. The quake would probably last for several minutes. The shoreline will sink probably 6 feet, and then the tsunami comes. So that's why scientists say if that happens and you're in the tsunami zone, run. And they're saying do not turn around, do not help anybody. It sounds cruel, but run. Get to higher ground as soon as you can. So the new data that they have accumulated right now, researchers realized the pressure shifts were not isolated events. Not isolated.
I must not have the
data.
data.
You know what I'm hinting at, guys? The slow buildup hinted at deeper movement that could not be seen from the surface. So these early tremors of strain, of course, right now did not indicate immediate danger. That, it's coming in the next few hours. And no, but it's equally concerning.
All right. I was trying to confirm what she's saying. I don't know. When is this video? Oh, this is 3 months ago. Why did this just show up today? Oh, good Lord. Anyway, that was a waste of time. I could have swore this showed up today. 3 months ago. Well, that's why it's not showing up on my little earthquakey thingy here. Here's some earthquakes up here in this zone right here at the top of the world. 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Well, alrighty. Let's see what we have for Ray. Where's Ray? Ray's Astro. So this is for 3i Atlas. Get rid of that video. 3 months ago. Jeez.
So I wanted to give you the update on Comet 3i Atlas and also on the Great Comet 2026. So on March 14th, Comet 3i Atlas in the morning around 7 a.m. Central Time passed the hill radius of Jupiter.
Okay.
And it is still passing as we speak. It takes a week or two to get out of the Jupiter hill radius gravity. And what really stuck out to me was how close it is going to the Jupiter hill radius. It is going as close as 57,000 kilometers out of millions of kilometers. So it is almost like scratching the hill radius when it is going. It has to be extremely calculated if it is done by an intelligence out there that is trying to go that level. Even for a human beings to send an aircraft which is in that gap of 57,000 kilometers, you are talking an extreme technology when you are passing interstellar. So that definitely is something that an anomaly that we cannot forget. I'm going to show you some numbers, and it baffles me like how this 3i Atlas, being what it is, passing the Jupiter hill radius that close. The other thing that stood to me very abnormal is the jets that Avi was pointing out, the 120 degrees angle. What surprises me is not just the jets that are out there, like 3 jets with 120 degrees angles that separated. That's not really interesting. There could be possible, and it may be some natural explanations of why those 3 jets are there. But what makes me really wonder was these jets were there and staying in the same way they were all the way when it came closer to the sun and all the way going to the Jupiter. If it is a natural occurrence, keeping those jets in that angle for that long with all that material that is coming out would be really impossible. So if there is something that interests you, like finding more details of what this object is, then I think 3i Atlas is definitely a good study to understand what is going on. Of course, as I was mentioning before,
Yeah.
here now,
Want to get to the
maybe our
numbers.
Hubble or JWST maybe can take a picture or so. Even that would be pretty faint. So let me show you what I got. So this is the pictures that we have, and this is just the location, okay? And I do see an artifact here that is coming in the corner. I see that as a star, but I think it kind of showed up with a different color there. The comet is supposed to be right in the middle somewhere because that's what I centered. So right now you're seeing these 2 stars there, and you're seeing like something moving here. I was trying to look for, let me slow it down for you. Let me zoom in further. You see like something right here. It's so difficult to find where specifically that comet was. I'm showing you the 3 potential places would be probably here somewhere, and I see that it is moving, right?
Is he saying that 3i Atlas disappeared? Trying to get to what his point is.
But if you are trying to bet, like maybe somewhere here is the potential location, I'll tell you why. So when I was looking at let me bring up a software Stellarium, and I will show you where the Comet 3A Atlas was last night. And I wanted to see for like same time yesterday, this time. I'm going to take pictures more today as well. And I moved the time to the night time. So it's very close to Jupiter. That's very important for us. It's almost close to that hill radius of Jupiter. And
did the Armada land on Jupiter, just waiting for the Father to tell him to come back and harvest the Earth?
Let me show you what I mean by when I zoom in.
I'm half joking.
You see these two stars, right? Oh, sorry.
So if you're new here, a long time ago when 3i Atlas did its flyby of the Earth, and by a long time ago, I mean a couple of months ago, we were having fun speculating because Jesus says he comes in the clouds and that there's a whole bunch of celestial events that happen, like the sun will be dark and the moon will turn to blood, the stars fall from the heavens, the earth moves out of its place, the islands and the mountains move out of their place. That's what I meant to say. That because Jesus comes in the clouds, we were speculating what that could mean. And there's a lot of interpretations of that. The Jews think it's the Festival of Tabernacles, but I really do. I love the Jesus coming on a spaceship perspective, because the timing of 3i Atlas is so bizarre with the fulfillment of prophecy that it would be. And there are some people on the internet who are absolutely convinced that 3i Atlas is an armada of ships. You know, they've done, crazy analysis on the imagery, zoomed super in. There's a lot of anomalies with 3i Atlas. I think it's only the third interstellar object we've had in our universe. So it's not like we have a lot of data to pull from, but it does things weird compared to other interstellar objects and comets. It's got an anti-tail to where, like, you would imagine, something moving in one direction, the tail would go this way. Well, it goes this way. The tail goes in front of it. So they're saying that that's like a force field that moves away objects. Well, it's got I lost count of how many new things that they've discovered with 3i Atlas. It was like up to 20 or 25 anomalies with this interstellar object. So we catch up on it from time to time to see what it's doing. But the fact that it's over by Jupiter right now is indicative, because Jupiter is a planet. It's the king planet that's representative of the Messiah. So the fact that this thing is hanging out over by the planet that represents the Messiah is very interesting, considering where we are in the timeline. We're very likely within that window of, him coming back in the clouds. So that's why we're watching this. But it's interesting if the thing's disappeared.
You see these two stars, correct? These two stars kind of turn it this way, are these two stars here. Okay. And if you turn it, it's to the right of those two stars. So if you put it this way, right? It's somewhere here, right?
Yeah, we get it.
So that's why I was betting on this area, and I was saying that is probably the location of the comet. But we need proof that in fact the comet 3A is over there. So I did one more thing just to prove myself. So I used a program called ASTAP. This is being used by NASA as well. Whenever they have to resolve a comet or an asteroid, this is what they use. So I brought in the picture that we took from last night over here. And this is the picture we got last night. And they have something called plate solving, which means it is going to know the location where this picture was taken. It's almost like a GPS coordinates of that. And it did solved. If you can see it close by It did solve the picture, so it is knowing where it is. And I was looking for asteroids and comets in this picture, and I'm going up to the magnitude 25. So my guess is the 3I Atlas is in 20th or 24th magnitude. It is 4.5 times the distance between Earth and the Sun. So almost like out there somewhere, right? So near Jupiter, that's what it is. So it's way too far from Earth standpoint, and this is like so
Turned
small.
on its
It's still
cloaking
bright.
device.
That's why we were able to take any picture of it. And I did ask for it, and there you go. It is showing that I did take picture last night. It is showing 3:18 from the universal time clock standpoint. I did take 30 minutes exposure, 3 minutes exposure, 180 seconds. And the most important thing is it is showing this 6:49, 51, 20, 21, 36. So those are the location of where this comet is, and it is showing, if I can zoom in for you, the same location, the 2 stars there and this location. It cannot pinpoint like where it is. It can. I don't know how to do it myself. So I know like
Interesting.
up to this point where I can find the location.
I'm pretty sure BP Earthwatch is, he's one of the channels who thinks it's an armada of ships, and he's also convinced that it has a cloaking device. So maybe this is proof that they've turned on their cloaking device.
If the comet is any bright, if I can see the tracking, I would have done it. I'll try tonight. I'll see if I can get more pictures, because last.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. That's kind of a new development with 3i Atlas, worth watching. And before we go, let's have a look at the timeline here. So the timeline software is coming along crazy good, like way better than I expected it would come along. So I've added in all kinds of artificial intelligence additions. So like now you can add pictures and links and stuff like that. I've added in the ability for people to create their own timelines, compare timelines, share timelines, stuff like that. And then this is the feature I'm most excited about, is you can turn your timeline into a slideshow and actually go through and share like the detailed information in a presentation format. So I'm going to have fun with that. But I'll probably be releasing this and making it live probably next week. Probably I might do it in conjunction with this tool. We'll see. I haven't added any real user features into this, but these are really good information platforms. The objective is to be able to crowdsource information and be able to validate and invalidate, observations, so that we can together watch prophecy be fulfilled. So trying to build these tools. The calendar, I've made it really, really easy to import a calendar. Like you can literally, I have this AI generate calendar. You can just drop in some text with dates and times and events, and it will create a timeline based off of that. The YouTube one is really fun. You can post in a link to a YouTube, and it will go find any dates and time that are mentioned in that video and turn it into a timeline. I've been having a blast with that. So I've gone through and like Return of the King, he's got a timeline. Messiah 2030's got a timeline. Christian Widner's got a timeline. God's Roadmap. So I've been converting all their videos into timelines. This one is particularly interesting. Here, this one's actually interesting as a slideshow because they go through and there's just a lot of data actually contained in their timeline, which is pretty cool. If you want a visual of what it is that they presented in their show, tons and tons of data, which is pretty fun. So I'll be making this available to you guys probably next week. We're going to build a website and make these available as tools. Yeah. So that's exciting. We're working on that. But where are we on the timeline, you ask? So this little line right here shows where we are today. And by all accounts, we're either in seal number 4 or seal number 5. I have 2 different versions of this timeline. based on these eclipses here, seal number 5 either opened on February 17th of this year, or it opens on August 12th of this year, which since February 17th has already come and passed, and there wasn't really any significant events on the day of the eclipse, which the pattern has been with these eclipses, there were events that matched the biblical description of what was going to happen on those days. So nothing really happened on this day, which is what is leading me to believe that August 12th might be the opening of seal number 5. Now, the Iran war is a pretty big event that happened, but it didn't happen on any celestial marker, which leads me to believe that this is the lead up to an event, to a seal opening up. So my guess is that seal number 5 is going to open, and then things, we're going to notice something on that day. I'm kind of speculating this might be for when they say peace and safety. Now, if this timeline is wrong, if this is the wrong version, so I got 2 versions here. Actually, I got a bunch of versions. So the original chiastic structure here, this one is the one that we're working from right now. So this is seal number 5 having opened February 17th. If there's any indication of the magnetic pole shift in August, that will tell us what seal we're in, because it's very likely that seal number 6 is the magnetic pole shift. But if there's no real indication of anything to do with the magnetic pole shift, we're probably looking more like this one right here, to where seal number 5 would be August 12th, and then seal number 6 would be February 6th of 2027. This one is kind of lining up to be a better fit, this version of the timeline, because that would put the death of the 2 witnesses right here after the opening of seal number 7, which is closer to what is written in Revelation 12, or Revelation 11, because Revelation 11 it's a parenthetical statement of introducing the 2 witnesses at the end of the last trumpet. But you got to remember, they do their ministry, they do their prophecy for 3.5 years. So basically what it's showing us is the end point. It's basically showing us their death. Like, this is when they die. So you've got to take from there and come back 1,260 days in order to determine when they start their ministry, which there is a possibility that it's Donald Trump and Elon Musk based on just this timeline. So when I say we're running out of time, we're running out of space for the 2 witnesses to be anybody else. All signs are pointing to, things are falling into place. So we've got a couple of options to pay attention to and watch. And hopefully I'll get this stuff in your guys' hands and you can start playing around with the dates and times and the calculations, and maybe we can nail down the specific, counts: 1,260 days, 1,290 days, 2,300, 1,335, 42 months. There's a couple of very specific day counts that I think they were given to us so that we can find where they actually fit. So there you go. That's where we are. So that is coming along quite nicely. A lot of nice little features. I just added this little feature here so you could actually filter events based on tags, which is fun. Anyway, we'll stop playing around with this. So there we are. You guys have any questions or anything I need to deal with from the chatting or commenting? I think you guys pretty much have things under control here. This is an observational channel. We watch prophecy come to pass, and we challenge our assumptions. I like to think of us as Bereans, who search the scriptures daily, whether these things are so. We're kind of like prophecy watcher Bereans here, to where we challenge our assumptions. Everybody thinks they know what certain things mean. Everybody thinks they know what to look for. Everybody wants to be right. And the way you actually become right is by, iterating on build, measure, learn, really, is you observe what's actually happening. You measure it according to the scripture and you learn. So, we observe prophecy being fulfilled. We search the scriptures for what the fulfillment is, and then whether we were right or wrong. And then we just continue to iterate on that cycle. And ultimately, we're going to make mistakes along the way, but this is how we're going to figure out, what the truth is, because we're living in that time. We're living in the time that Jesus said, I tell you these things beforehand so that when they happen, you will believe. And these things are happening. The whole book of Revelation is opening up like a beautiful flower. And it's an amazing time to be alive. So that's all I got for you guys today. As you can see from that timeline, we're pretty close to the end. I don't think the other timelines that really push things out to the further distances hold any water. And I'm going to make those available for you guys to consider yourselves to see if you can validate or invalidate. Ooh, that's a feature I need to add. Like the ability to validate whether something happened or didn't, maybe kind of like a thumbs up, thumbs down system, but something a little bit more like attesting to as a witness. Like, yes, I saw this thing happen. I'm going to build in social features so that we can kind of work on these together. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, if you like that idea, if you like this concept, if you like the idea of watching prophecy and working on these things together, you're in the right place. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you hit a like on the video so I know you like this content. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I go live. And if you miss the notification, we're here Monday through Friday at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We try to get off early on Friday nights because we do observe Sabbath. We observe the Jewish Sabbath, which is Friday evening to Saturday evening. And it's a time to take a break. It's a time to change your pattern from your regular activity and spend time with God, spend time with family, and do something different than you normally do throughout the week. So we highly encourage that. That is part of the law. So that's what I mean. It's like the law is not a burden. Some people think the law is a burden. We do our best to obey what Jesus told us to do, which is to love God, which observing Sabbath is part of loving God, and loving our neighbor as ourselves. That's another thing we do on Sabbath is how can we take care of our neighbor as ourselves? And with all of that, I leave you guys until tomorrow. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.